Hey YouTube, Sarah here with Crimson and Wool, and I'm coming at you with another tutorial. This is the first of many princess dolls. This one is, I think I'm going to call her the Flower Princess, or the Princess of the Flower. I'm not quite sure yet, but it will be listed probably in the description box or on the written pattern. All the supplies needed to make this princess will be in the written pattern that is available on Etsy. You could find that in the description box below. If you want to get started on the tutorial right away, I will leave a timestamp for you, but I do like to give a little bit of explanation. So if you want to go ahead and get started, click on that timestamp. But other than that, this tutorial is a little different. I'm not going to be walking through every single step and explaining the whole pattern. The written pattern is available for that reason. I just wanted to have a video to go along with that. So you probably could just make it based off of the video, but it might be a little more difficult if you like to have all the information. I just wanted to really hone in on all the steps, like the skirt and doing the face detail and the hair. I did lose some footage, so I don't have any video of how to make the flowers and gluing them on, but in my YouTube tutorial for my mermaid pattern, it does show you how to make these flowers. I do take 2 of the 4 strands of a 4-ply yarn and I separate them, and then I use a 3.25 millimeter hook to create those flowers. And if I get a lot of people who would really like to see that step by step, then I could just go ahead and create just a short video of the flowers. But for the sake of getting this tutorial out for you guys, I'm going to go ahead and just get it up without that explanation. Again, everything you need to make this pattern make this doll is in the pattern, and that is in the description box below via my Etsy shop. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on the arms. Like I said, this video is gonna be a little more different. So with the arms, they're pretty straightforward. You could go off the pattern. This video is just gonna kind of give you a quick visual on how to make these arms. So you just can follow the steps per the pattern, and then if you want to have just a video guide along, that's what this is for. So you'll just work up the arms, and then I'm going to guide you through color changing for the sleeve. So working the color change, grab your purple, and you have worked half of the stitch. So you yarn over, pull through, and now you're gonna pull through with the purple through that last stitch. That's gonna give you a nice clean color change. And then you're gonna work the last 2 rounds, rounds 6 through 7, in your purple for the sleeve. Once I have created 2 stitches, I like to get that excess yarn out of the way, so I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to push in the tail ends into the arm. I'm going to continue working rounds 6 through 7, and I will help you with closing the arm. To close the arm, you're simply going to pinch. So I just finished the last round of round 7. You're going to pinch the arm closed. You're going to take your hook and insert it through both sides like this. Pull your yarn through and then pull through 2 loops. And you're going to do that one more time. And then leave a long enough tail to sew onto the body. So this is your arm. You're going to make 2 of these. All right, so this is just a quick little video of the legs. You're gonna wanna work them up per what the pattern is. So work up rounds 1 through 8. And then I'm gonna show you how you fasten them off. So once you get to the end, I create a slip stitch, and I'm gonna take my scissors and cut off just maybe 2 inches or even 1.5 inches. I take my hook and pull that yarn through into the leg, and I stuff the tail end in the leg. Go ahead and work up 2 legs and stuff them. Once you've worked up both legs, line up the legs so that those stitches are towards the back where you did your slip stitches, and then put your hook through both legs like you see here in the video and pull that pinkish purple color through and create a slip stitch. I like to tighten that slip stitch, and now you're going to work the next round. You're working 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Now technically that should be 16 stitches, but with the join it kind of evens out. If you work evenly and you have less than 15 stitches or more by 1 stitch, then just decrease or increase. I tend to get 15 stitches when I join in this way, and it again, there's some wiggle room for being able to get the correct stitch amount, which is basically 15 single crochets. So you have 15 single crochets for your joining round. Okay, so now we're going to continue on. Round 10, you're going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Go ahead and place your stitch marker. It's going to give you a total of 15 single crochets. I like to take my tail yarn and kind of do a slip stitch with it just to make it extra secure, and then I'm going to stuff the remaining tail into the leg. So just continue working 1 single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you back for round 11. So at this point you are going to be working the half double crochet round. You work a half double crochet into each stitch all the way around. It's just like the previous round, but working half double crochets instead of single crochets. Just continue working all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. We are going to be working round 12. And round 12 is 1 single crochet into the 3rd loop. So we have our stitches here. You have your V stitch, which you normally work in, just a regular stitch. So that's like first, like the front loop and the back loop. And so what the 3rd loop is right behind that loop, or the stitch. So front loop would be right here, back loop would be right here, and the 3rd loop is behind both of those. So you're going to turn your work and you're going to insert your hook into this loop back here. And once you've done a few of them, they start to roll and it's easier to grasp that 3rd loop back there. And so this allows for that ridging right here. If you are having a hard time with this, you can simply just work into the back loop only, and you'll still have that ridging where you could connect. I just feel like having the 2 loops is a little bit more secure when you're attaching the skirt, and then also it helps with gapping. So then you have that loop right here. That's the back loop, and the front loop is where you work this skirt into, so it kind of just looks a little bit more neater. But if you're like super frustrated and you just want to move on, then just go ahead and work in the back loop only. All right, so continue working 1 single crochet into each stitch in that 3rd loop all the way around. Rounds 13 and 14 will simply be 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. After you have completed round 13 and 14, before you finish off round 14, you are going to work a color change into that last stitch. So go ahead and grab the purple for the color change, which is right here, and have that ready for that last stitch, because we're going to work the color change through the last loop of that last stitch of the round. So I'm going to insert my hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and we have 2 loops on our hook, and we're going to grab our color change and we are going to pull through with that color. So now the last stitch has been completed for that round, and we're going to move on to the next. So for round 15, you are going to be working a single crochet into each stitch, but one stitch is going to be what I call a long single crochet. So I normally have about 7 or 8 stitches till I need to work that long single crochet. I just want to just preference this before. When you work up your doll, it all depending on how you join your legs and where your stitch starts might vary. So you just want the stitch to be in the middle here. So whatever stitch is here that lines up in the middle, you could simply just take your stitch marker and just find that stitch, and that's where you're gonna work it. So what you'll do is go ahead and let's get rid of this other color right here so we don't have that in the way. And then you can tie these if you'd like to have it like extra secure, and then move those in. So mine usually is 7 or 8. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to do 8 stitches, and then the long single crochet is not worked into this. I call it a long because you're going to skip down to the previous round. You're going to insert your hook, pull through a loop, and then pull up to even out right here and tighten. And that just kind of makes like that little V for the dress. And then you just keep working your single crochets, continuing all the way around. You're going to grab your color change, and you are going to pull through with your skin tone. And then let's tighten that up. And then I am going to secure into that first stitch a single crochet. That's part of the next round, but just to kind of fasten off so that nothing falls apart, I'm going to cut this off and then I'll explain the next round. Round 16 will be 1 single crochet and then a single crochet decrease, which is worked into the front loops only of the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to insert my hook into that front loop of the next stitch, wrap around, insert my hook into the next front loop of that following stitch. I'm going to pull through with my yarn. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and that's going to be my single crochet decrease. And so we're going to repeat that: 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet decrease, all the way around. And so at this point I would finish stuffing the by the legs and the body. I would do it before you finish this round or after, just depending on how comfortable you are, but I'm going to go ahead and do it midway. And then I'm going to take some of my stuffing and make sure that it's nice and firm. All right, let's go ahead and finish off this round. So now that we have completed the body, we are going to work up the rest of the head. So we're not going to cut off any yarn. The head is going to be continuing to be worked up with the body. So for round 17, it will be 2 single crochets into each stitch all the way around. So it's pretty straightforward. We're just doing a increase round. And that's going to give you a total of 20 single crochets for round 17. Round 18 will be another increase round. This round you'll work 1 single crochet and then a single crochet increase. And that's the pattern repeat. And that's going to give you a total of 30 stitches for round 18. For rounds 19 through 23 will be 5 rounds of single crochet. So just 1 stitch in, or 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around for a total of 30 single crochets for a total of 5 rounds. So go ahead and work up the next 5 rounds. And then you're going to want to place your safety eyes. You're going to place them 4 visible stitches apart between rows 20 and 21. I apologize, I lost the footage for the safety eyes. Round 24, we're going to work 3 single crochets and then a decrease. And that is the pattern repeat. And you're going to work that all the way around with a total of 24 stitches. Okay, so for round 25 will be another decrease round. This time you're going to work 2 single crochets and then a decrease. And then that's the pattern repeat, leaving you with a total of 18 single crochets. So for round 26, it's simply 1 single crochet and then a decrease. Just go ahead and repeat that all the way around. And that's going to leave you with a total of 12 single crochets. All right, so we have one more round and then we're going to close, but let's stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my hook, and then I kind of like to bring the yarn to the side, that way it doesn't get pushed in when we're stuffing. And then I'm just going to stuff the head. So I like to take my thumb and my finger and I'm pushing the stuffing in as I'm rotating the doll. So I don't know if you could tell, I stuff and rotate kind of at the same time and push it in. So I feel like that's good because we still have to decrease and we don't want all that stuffing to get in the way. But what I do is I like to take my fingers and push it in as I work. So I have my finger here and my decrease is going to be worked without the stuffing getting in. So for this last round, that is round 27, you're going to work 6 single crochet decreases. And then, like I said, I just kind of take my finger and push that stuffing in as I work. So you're going to want to leave at least 12 to 18 inches because we are going to stitch on the nose with this tail yarn. And then you're going to grab your tapestry needle. All right, and then, so I tighten up and I'm going to make sure that I don't need any more stuffing. So I think that I need more stuffing. When you think you're done, you're usually not done because a lot can fit in there, but you don't want to stuff so much that like your stitches are bulging. We're gonna go ahead and close, kind of like doing decreases with our tapestry needle or however you feel comfortable, but I just kind of wrap like so. And then we are gonna pull tight and that's gonna close that gap, just like that. And so now we're gonna take our tapestry needle and we're gonna push it through a hole and then bring it through to the middle. So the nose is gonna be placed in the round that's between these eyes. So I am gonna wrap the thread around this stitch that's in the middle, and I'm gonna probably wrap it at least 2 to 3 times. And then I want to see if that is good. Yep, that's good. So at that point, I'm going to push through back to this side to get this out of the way. And we have our nose. just like that. And then we are going to push our tapestry needle through just to secure it, that tail yarn, and then we'll cut it off. So at this point, before we do anything else, I like to do all the face detail except the blush. I always leave the blush for last. It's my last finishing touch. So you are gonna need a light brown. That's not the same as this like dusty blonde color, like a light brown for the eyebrows and black for her little eye detail. All right, so I have my brown and my black. So grab a tapestry needle, and this is how I do it. I always start at the top of the head, and I'm gonna bring my needle down right next to the side of the eye. And then for this eye, right here, I'm gonna insert this like in between this stitch above the eye and just pop it out right here, just like that. If you go into the actual gap, it's gonna be too long. I've learned my lesson. So for this side, it's a little different. Once you've popped it out on this side, you are actually gonna bring it up through the gap on this eye. Don't know why, I've just learned that that's how it works. But instead of pushing it that way, I'm gonna wrap it on this side, because then that way the yarn is gonna come out a little bit tighter. Okay, so there's that. We have our eye detail, and then I'm gonna push my yarn back up through here. And since there's gonna be a hair, like the cap is gonna go over this, I just tie it 2 times, and then I'm gonna cut it off. That way we don't have any black showing through anywhere. And we're gonna repeat the same process with this brown, but for the eyebrows. So pop it through the top of the head. And now for the eyebrows, we're gonna come up 1 stitch above the eyeliner area. Then we're gonna count up 1 stitch and over 2. 1 stitch over 2. And that's gonna be our eyebrow. And then same thing on this side. You are gonna pop through right here, 1 stitch above. You're gonna count 1 stitch and 2 over. And there are your eyebrows. So we have our eye detail and our eyebrows, and same thing, we're just simply gonna tie off 2 times and cut it. Now we're going to work up the skirt. So before I sew on anything else, I like to get the skirt stitched on. So what I like to do is, you're gonna see that this is your beginning stitch right here, and then this is your ending stitch. And when you're working in the round, so I'm gonna start this by inserting my hook through the front loop of the doll right here, and then I'm going to attach the purple. I like to leave a long enough tail to sew that on, and then I just kind of put it between the legs and pull through, so that way it's secure. That way this is out of the way, and then we can move on. This is not going to count as a stitch. At this point, I'm going to slip stitch into the next front loop, and that's going to secure it. I find that this helps not to create a gap back here. You see how nice and clean that looks? That's what I do to do that. So from here, we're going to chain 2, and that's not going to count as a stitch, and we are going to work 1 double crochet into that first front loop. And then we are going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. And so from here to the end of this round, we are going to repeat the same steps. It'll be 2 double crochets and then an increase. So in the next stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets in the same. So that's your pattern repeat, 2 double crochets and then a double crochet increase. You're going to repeat that all the way around, and you're going to be ending with 2 double crochets. And then after that, you are going to join with a slip stitch. Sorry, I'm a little out of frame here, but basically you're joining with a slip stitch to the top of your first double crochet, not the chain 2. That's going to create a nice even join, and then you're going to take a tapestry needle and you are going to weave in your tail ends, or end. I like to just bring it through, not catching onto the skirt obviously, and then just kind of weave it back and forth just to make sure that it's nice and secure, and then you can go ahead and cut off that tail end. All right, so now you're gonna chain 2, and then you're gonna work a double crochet into the same stitch that you did your chain 2, and simply work 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way around. And I'm just gonna apologize one more time. I'm so sorry for getting out of frame. I'm trying to work with a new setup. I do have a new phone, so my tutorials are gonna hopefully be much better, but this was filmed on my old phone and I wasn't really able to see where I was at. So I do apologize. Hopefully you could just bear with me as I am working through the editing process for these videos. But just simply work 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way around, and then you are going to join with a slip stitch to the top of your first double crochet, not the chain 2. And there we are, we're back in frame. And go ahead and join with a slip stitch. And then for the 3rd round and the last round of this skirt, you are simply going to work 1 single crochet. So you're going to chain 1, work a single crochet into that same stitch, and then work 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. And once you've reached the end, go ahead and join with a slip stitch into the top of your first single crochet. And you could go ahead and weave in your tail end, just similar as to how you usually do for any of your other projects. I like to push it through the next stitch, and then I'm going to bring it back up, but just fair warning, you don't want to pull too tightly because then it's going to pull on the skirt and bunch it up. So just kind of be mindful of that. If it pulls like how you see here, then you're going to pull it down, and then you will go ahead and continue to weave in your tail end. That way it is not all bunched up. And then once you've done that, just kind of weave in back and forth a few times and cut off your yarn. Trick here for this gapping right here. So like I said, this yarn in this pinkish purplish color is thinner than the other 4 plies that I'm using. So if you have gapping, what I like to do, especially, you know, gift selling, whatever, is I like to bring my yarn with a tapestry needle and kind of weave in back and forth through the stitches like so. And then I'll show you once I'm done what it looks like. So I'm just going to kind of weave, and then as you come around, you're going to go up to the next row by popping it through up right there, and then popping it through here, and just keep going around, making sure that you're not grabbing any of the polyfill through the stitches. And then we just kind of weave the tail in just a few times, and then snip that off. And we're gonna weave in this tail end. And so this is kind of what it looks like. It's not perfect. You don't have that clean, crisp stitch look, but it definitely covers in the gaps. And once you have the arms on and everything, it's not too crazy. But again, you don't have to do it. It was just a little helpful tip if you are having that issue. Let's go ahead and add our arms on, and then we'll work on the hair. So if you've watched any of my tutorials before, the arms are the same process on all my dolls. I'm gonna take the arm and line it up with the leg too, and then I skip, just making sure there's 2 visible stitches between, kind of helps it with the arms being even. And then I push the arm down and hold it in place while I grab this other side. And then I'm gonna bring the tail back through, and that's gonna secure it on that side. Then I'm gonna pop my tapestry needle through on this side and then grab the middle right there. So then that way when that comes through, the middle is secured down as well. Then I pop it through back through the front one more time, and then I'm gonna grab any remaining stitches right here and just kind of bring it through to make sure it's extra secure. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. All right, so let's go ahead and work the hair. So it's gonna be a wig cap, just a cap. And then we're gonna make the strands and then attach it all. So going and getting started on round 1, you are gonna work with a 5mm crochet hook for this, and you're gonna work 6 single crochets into a magic circle. And then for round 2, you're gonna work an increase round. So that's gonna be 2 single crochets into each stitch all the way around for a total of 12 stitches for round 2. Go ahead and tie a knot, and then we're gonna cut that off so it's out of the way. Round 3 is gonna be an increase round. You're gonna work 1 single crochet into the first stitch and 2 single crochets into the next. Repeat that all the way around, and you're gonna have a total of 18 stitches for round 3. For round 4, you're going to work 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets into the next. So repeat that all the way around. 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, then an increase into the next. That's going to leave you with a total of 24 single crochets for round 4, and this is going to be our last increase round. All right, so for round 5 through 9, you are going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So just go ahead and work that for 5 rounds total. That's going to give you a total of 24 stitches for each round, and I will meet you back at the end of round 9. All right, so I've worked rounds up to round 9. At this point, what I like to do is stretch it out just a little bit, and you're going to want to try it on. Sometimes, depending on your yarn, or even your tension, you want to make sure that it covers enough of the head. So I've even done that where I've used the same yarn and it's come out tighter or shorter. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just try it on, and I like that. Basically, you want to have enough room between the eyebrows and the hair. You don't want it to be so close like this, and then you add the hair. You want it to be pushed back like that. So if you see here, there's definitely still enough room for the eyebrows and the forehead, because we're gonna be working up the strands next, the hair strands. So just go ahead and do enough rounds to be able to cover the back and leave a forehead. So what you're going to do now, we're gonna work 5 hair strands for the front part. So in the first stitch, you're gonna work a slip stitch, and then you are going to work a chain. So you're gonna work a chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Into the second chain from the hook, you're going to work a slip stitch. Into the next stitch, you're going to work a single crochet, and then for the remainder of the chain, you're going to work a half double crochet. Six, 7, so it's 7 stitches. But now that we're back here, you're going to actually work 1 more half double crochet into the same stitch that you started the chain from, and just like that. Then you're going to skip 1 stitch and slip stitch into the next, and you're going to repeat that same process 4 more times. And slip stitch. All right, so now what we're going to do is slip stitch. So that counts as 1. So we're going to slip stitch 3 more times. 2, 3, and 4. So there's supposed to be 4 slip stitches, and then we're going to work 3 strands. But instead of chaining 10, you're going to chain 20. These are going to be the braided part. So chain 20. And then in the second chain from the hook, you're going to do a slip stitch, and then you're going to do a single crochet all the way down the chain. And then in the last, or in the stitch where the chain started, you're going to do 1 single crochet. You're going to skip a stitch and slip stitch. All right, so just complete, or repeat, I should say, that process 2 more times for a total of 3 strands. All right, so now you're simply just going to work a slip stitch in the next 4 stitches. And that last slip stitch is going to be your fasten off, and you will cut a long enough tail to sew on, as well as stitch hair pieces in place. So I would do a good 18 inches. So at this point, I like to stretch the cap out. And then I'm gonna try it on. So you want the braids to go over to the side like that. So they're gonna be, this side's gonna be a little longer, and they're gonna go to the side. So grab your doll and then place that so that you want it to be pretty drastic. You're gonna be like, what? That's weird. Like, it shouldn't be that far over, but you do. You want it over pretty far, and then you're gonna put the cap on. And remember, you want to make sure that you have a forehead still. So you don't want it to be placed like that. This is a no-go. You want to make sure that you still have a forehead. So like that. And then you want your braids to be over to the side, because when you braid them, the hair can come over on her side like that. So say like there. So enough to where you see this whole strand over there. And then at this point, you could stitch it on however you feel comfortable, but I'm going to show you what I do. All right. So I like to hot glue as well as stitch. All right, so you can either just stitch it or hot glue it. I like to do both, but do whatever you're more comfortable with. Obviously with a hot glue gun, there could be a little bit more room for error, but go ahead and do what you feel is best. I go ahead and create just like a line around the rim, and then I'm gonna place it on her head. All right, so I got it nice and placed where I would like it. Again, you wanna make sure that you have a forehead. You wanna make sure it's even on each side as much as possible. And then I just kind of smooth down the back to make sure it's not lumpy. And at this point, I'm going to start stitching. So go ahead and take your tapestry needle, and you're gonna weave in and out of each stitch. So the first one, you're gonna push through, pull it out through the next stitch, bring your needle back behind the stitch you just worked, and then pull it through, skipping a stitch or two. And then just keep repeating that process all the way around. Sometimes the hairs get caught, so just make sure that you remove the hairs out of the way, the hair strands, I should say, and then you just keep working that same process all the way around. Just weaving it in and out, making sure that you're grabbing onto the head itself and not just through the wig cap. You braid these strands. So for this, you are gonna need just a small scrap piece of yarn. I mean, 6 to 8 inches should be fine. So you're gonna need a small scrap yarn, and you're gonna braid these strands like so. And you could decide to bring it all the way down or have little pieces hanging out. I like to bring it all the way down like so. And you could glue that end together, or I simply just tie it. So I'm going to take my yarn and make sure all 3 strands are together, and I'm going to tie a knot, because you are going to glue a flower right there, so it's going to hold it in place as well. But now you have your long strand. You could go longer if you want. So instead, if you want this to be longer than this, you could do 25, 30 chains. It's all up to you. And then now we are going to place these hair strands. So we want them to just kind of fall in place. I kind of like to take it and mess around, so I'll kind of get an idea of what I'm looking for. So strand down, bring one over, and then bring it over like that. So kind of something like that. You could have little pieces twirling and coming out like this. So we're just gonna mess around with it. Know that every doll is not gonna look the same, and that's what's so amazing about handmade items. So for this first piece, I'm gonna bring it and lay it down flat, and I'm gonna grab these 2 stitches and bring it in place like this. So that's gonna secure that piece down. And then I think I just kind of want it to come back here just further to connect to that braid. So I'm gonna bring my yarn through and just kind of stitch around like so. And I want the tail of the hair to kind of poke through like that and turn. So I feel good about that. And then I'm gonna bring my tapestry needle back up to work on this next strand. So I think I want this one to curl out and come by her bang a little. So I'm gonna get it in place and then connect with a stitch right here. And so then when I push it through, it curls back like that. And I'm gonna stitch it in place right here. So to do so, I'm gonna take my tapestry needle and just stitch the curl in place like that. And then it kind of pops up, so you can leave it like that, but I kind of want it to be a little more secure. And you could glue these pieces down, which I've done before, but sometimes I end up wanting to change it, so there we go. I like that. Again, they're all gonna look different. They're not all gonna be the same. Flowers are gonna go in their hair, so you just wanna mess around with it. So I do 2 strands on this side and 3 strands on the other side. So go ahead and take your tapestry needle and move it over to the other side. And I'm going to grab and stitch that piece down. And then in the middle, just so that it's secure, I'm going to stitch it down right there. See? And so now it's secure there. And then let's see, what do I want to do here? I think I kind of want it to look like a braid like that. So I want to bring this front one down first and secure it like that. And then I have this one I'm going to bring and secure it like that. So bring that one down and secure this last one. And the more you play around with it, the more you'll understand how the placement is and what kind of placement you want. Okay, so go ahead and weave in your tail ends, and then you're about done. Follow the pattern in the written pattern for the flowers, and you simply are just going to glue the flowers on. You're going to make 8 of them, 2 in each color of your choice, and you're going to glue them on where you like them, and then hot glue the pom-pom in the middle. I purchased my pom-poms at Hobby Lobby, and I'm so sorry I lost the footage, and for the sake of getting this video out sooner, I figured I would just go ahead and describe it for you guys. It is listed in the written pattern, but other than that, go ahead and apply your blush, and you are all finished. You are all finished. If you have completed the flowers and glued them on and added your blush, that is it. Thank you so much for understanding. I'm so sorry that I didn't have any of the video for this tutorial for the flowers. If you made this doll, I would love to see your finished doll. You could tag me on Instagram at Crimson and Wool. If you like this video, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be so awesome. And then also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And you could hit that notification bell. That way you can be notified anytime I come out with a new video. Other than that, thank you so much. And I look forward to crocheting with you again next time.